Her hands trembled as she confessed her truth across the candlelit table. She expected judgment. Instead, his response would alter the course of both their lives forever. Stay with me until the end to discover how one moment of vulnerability became the foundation for something extraordinary. If this story touches your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more content that reminds us how life's most difficult moments often lead to our greatest blessings. The restaurant buzzed with elegant conversation and the soft clink of expensive silverware. Olivia Parker sat across from James Wilson, fidgeting with the edge of her napkin as the waiter placed the leather-bound check presenter between them. Her stomach tightened as she caught a glimpse of the total, far more than she had anticipated when she'd agreed to this date. James reached for the check, but Olivia's hand shot out first. "We agreed to split it," she said, her voice barely audible over the ambient piano music. "But The words caught in her throat. "I'm sorry, I can't afford this date." The confession hung in the air between them. Olivia had never felt more exposed, more vulnerable. She'd been careful to hide her financial struggles from everyone, her co-workers at the elementary school where she taught, her friends, and especially from James, whom she'd met 3 weeks ago when his daughter Zoe joined her second-grade class. James studied her face, his expression unreadable. At 36, the lines around his eyes hinted at both laughter and hardship. Being a single father to an 8-year-old after losing his wife to a car accident 2 years ago had taught him resilience, but Olivia couldn't help wondering if her admission would be the end of whatever had been building between them. "Thank you for telling me," he said finally, his voice gentle. "For being honest." Olivia blinked back tears. "I shouldn't have agreed to come here. I wanted to impress you." James reached across the table and took her hand. "Do you know what impresses me? Authenticity. Courage. The kind it takes to say what you just said." He signaled the waiter and handed over his credit card. "Tonight is my treat. But I have an idea for our next date that won't cost either of us a dime." Olivia's heart fluttered at the words, "next date." She hadn't ruined everything after all. "What did you have in mind?" she asked. James smiled, the warmth reaching his eyes. "That's a surprise. But bring comfortable shoes and your sense of adventure." As they left the restaurant, the cool evening air seemed to clear away Olivia's embarrassment. James walked her to her car, an aging Honda with mismatched paint on the passenger door, another detail she'd been self-conscious about. "I should explain," Olivia said, leaning against her car. "I'm not usually this financially strained. My mother had a stroke 6 months ago. The medical bills, her care facility, it's been a lot." James nodded, understanding in his eyes. "Life has a way of throwing curveballs when we least expect them. I've been picking up extra tutoring shifts, but with rent increasing and my student loans." She trailed off, wondering why she was continuing to expose her vulnerabilities to this man she barely knew. "Olivia," James said, his voice firm but kind, "you don't need to explain yourself to me. We all have our struggles. What matters is how we face them." He leaned forward and kissed her cheek softly. "I'll pick you up Saturday at noon. And I promise, no expensive restaurants." Saturday arrived with clear skies and gentle sunshine. When James pulled up in his practical SUV with Zoe waving excitedly from the back seat, Olivia felt a momentary panic. She hadn't expected his daughter to join them. "I hope you don't mind," James said as she slid into the passenger seat. "Saturday is our day together," and she insisted on meeting Miss Parker outside of school. "Miss Parker. Dad says you're coming on our special adventure," Zoe exclaimed, her dark curls bouncing with enthusiasm. Olivia turned to smile at the little girl. "I am, and I'm very excited. Though I don't know what this adventure is yet." "It's the best," Zoe assured her. "We do it every month." James drove them to a part of the city Olivia rarely visited, a neighborhood where the buildings showed their age and many storefronts stood empty. He parked in front of a community center with a faded sign. "Welcome to the Riverside Community Kitchen," James said, opening Olivia's door. Inside, the large industrial kitchen bustled with activity. People in aprons chopped vegetables, stirred enormous pots, and packed containers with food. "James." "Zoe." "Right on time," called a gray-haired woman who embraced them both before turning to Olivia. "And you must be the famous Miss Parker." "I'm Helen. We volunteer here once a month," James explained as he handed Olivia an apron. "The kitchen provides meals for homeless shelters and families in need throughout the city." For the next 3 hours, Olivia worked alongside James and Zoe, preparing meals, packing care packages, and eventually helping to serve dinner to those who came to eat at the center. She watched as James greeted many by name, asking about job interviews or housing applications or family members. "You seem to know everyone," Olivia remarked during a quiet moment. James's expression grew serious. "After Zoe's mom died, I was in a dark place. I lost my focus at work, and eventually my job. For almost 6 months, we relied on places like this to eat sometimes." Olivia's surprise must have shown on her face. "It's not something I advertise," he continued, "but it's not something I'm ashamed of either. Life knocked me down. These people helped me get back up. Now I have my own construction company and things are stable, but I never want to forget where I've been or stop giving back." As they served meals, Olivia noticed Zoe sitting with an elderly man, carefully cutting his food into bite-sized pieces while chatting animatedly about her school project. "She's remarkable," Olivia said. James nodded, pride evident in his expression. "She's resilient. Kids often are. But she also knows what it's like to need help, and how much it means when that help comes with dignity and respect." After the kitchen closed, they helped with cleanup before heading to a small park nearby. Zoe ran to the playground while James and Olivia sat on a bench watching her. "I wanted you to see this part of my life," James said. "After what you shared at the restaurant, it felt important." "Thank you," Olivia replied. "It means a lot that you trusted me with your story." "Financial struggles don't define us," James said, his eyes following his daughter as she conquered the monkey bars. "How we respond to them does." Olivia thought about her mother's medical bills stacked on her kitchen counter, the second job she'd taken tutoring, the nights she fell asleep grading papers because there weren't enough hours in the day. "Sometimes I feel like I'm drowning," she admitted. "Like no matter how hard I work, I can't get ahead." James turned to face her. "I know that feeling. But you're not drowning, Olivia. You're swimming against the current. There's a difference." As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the park, Zoe returned to them, breathless from play. "Can Miss Parker come to dinner at our house?" she asked, looking between them hopefully. James raised an eyebrow at Olivia. "Our traditional post-volunteer meal is spaghetti at home. Nothing fancy, but you're welcome to join us." The Wilson home was a modest 2-bedroom in a family-friendly neighborhood. While James prepared dinner, Zoe proudly showed Olivia her room, her books, and the family photos that lined the hallway. "This is my mom," Zoe said, pointing to a smiling woman with the same dark curls. "She's in heaven now, but Dad says she watches over us." "She must be very proud of you," Olivia said gently. Zoe nodded solemnly. "Dad says she sent you to be my teacher because you're special." Dinner was simple but delicious. As they ate, Zoe regaled them with stories from school, occasionally asking Olivia to confirm particularly impressive achievements. "Dad, can Miss Parker help me with my reading before bed?" Zoe asked as they cleared the table. James looked questioningly at Olivia, who nodded. "I'd be happy to." While Olivia sat with Zoe in her bedroom, listening to her read a chapter book with impressive fluency, she heard James on the phone in the living room. His voice was low, but she caught fragments about payment plans and reasonable accommodations. After Zoe was tucked in, Olivia joined James on the couch. Thank you for today, she said. It was nothing like I expected, but exactly what I needed. James smiled. I have a confession. I had an ulterior motive for bringing you to the community kitchen. Oh? Olivia raised an eyebrow. They're looking for a part-time grant writer. Someone who can help them apply for funding to expand their programs. It pays well, and with your writing skills as a teacher. Olivia stared at him. You think I could do that? I know you could. Helen was impressed with you today. The position is flexible, evenings and weekends mostly. It wouldn't interfere with your teaching. I don't know what to say, Olivia whispered. Say you'll consider it. The extra income could help with your mother's expenses, and the work is meaningful. Olivia felt tears welling in her eyes. Why are you doing this for me? James took her hand. Because someone did it for me once. And because I think you're someone worth investing in. 2 months later, Olivia sat at her desk in the small office at the Riverside Community Kitchen, putting the finishing touches on a grant application. Her new role had indeed helped ease her financial burden, allowing her to cut back on tutoring and spend more time with her students, and with James and Zoe. Helen knocked on the open door. How's it coming? Just about finished, Olivia replied. If we get this one, it would fund the weekend backpack program for a full year. Helen smiled. You've been a godsend, Olivia. James has good instincts about people. He changed everything for me, Olivia admitted. That night at the restaurant, I was so embarrassed. I never imagined my confession would lead to all this. That's James, Helen said fondly. He sees potential where others see problems. Later that evening, as Olivia and James walked along the riverfront, their hands intertwined, she thought about how much had changed since that dinner. I have something for you, James said, pulling an envelope from his jacket. Olivia opened it to find a receipt, the bill from their first date at the expensive restaurant. Why are you giving me this? She asked, confused. Turn it over, he urged. On the back, he'd written, the moment I knew you were someone special, when you had the courage to be honest even when it was difficult. I've been carrying that around, waiting for the right moment, James said. Today marks 2 months since that night. Olivia felt tears threatening again. I thought I'd ruined everything. Instead, you showed me who you really are. Someone who faces challenges head-on. Someone who puts family first. Someone I want in my life and in Zoe's life. He pulled her close. I'm falling in love with you, Olivia Parker. She rested her head against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. I'm falling in love with you too. 6 months into their relationship, Olivia moved in with James and Zoe. Her mother's condition had stabilized, and with her improved financial situation, Olivia had been able to move her to a facility closer to their home, where they could visit several times a week. The community kitchen had received the grant Olivia applied for, allowing them to expand their services. She continued to work there part-time, finding fulfillment in helping others who were struggling as she once had. One evening, as they prepared dinner together in their kitchen, now truly theirs, James asked Zoe to get something from his work bag. She returned with a small velvet box, her eyes wide with excitement. We've been planning this for weeks, James confessed as he took the box and dropped to one knee. Zoe helped pick out the ring. It's not very big, Zoe added earnestly, but Dad said that's because we're saving for our future, not spending it all on one day. Olivia laughed through her tears as James opened the box to reveal a modest but beautiful diamond ring. Olivia Parker, you came into our lives when we weren't looking, but exactly when we needed you. You've shown us that vulnerability is strength, that honesty builds trust, and that love grows in the most unexpected places. Will you marry us? Us? Olivia repeated, looking between them. Zoe nodded solemnly. It's a package deal, Miss Parker. In that case, Olivia said, kneeling to be at eye level with both of them, my answer is absolutely yes. 1 year later, Olivia stood in the community center where it had all begun, now transformed with twinkling lights and flowers for their wedding reception. They had chosen to celebrate there, surrounded by the people who had become their extended family, volunteers, staff, and many of those they had served alongside. Her mother sat in her wheelchair near the front, beaming with pride. Though her speech remained affected by the stroke, her joy was unmistakable as she watched her daughter dance with her new husband. "I never imagined my life could be this full," Olivia whispered to James as they swayed to the music. "All because you had the courage to say 8 simple words," he replied, his arms tightening around her. "I'm sorry, I can't afford this date," they said in unison, laughing softly. Across the room, Zoe twirled in her flower girl dress, stopping occasionally to explain to guests that she had helped plan the whole wedding. "Thank you very much." "She's already planning our future," James said, watching his daughter with adoration. "College funds, family vacations, a bigger house someday." "One step at a time," Olivia reminded him. "We have our whole lives ahead of us." As the evening wound down, Olivia found herself standing with Helen near the gift table. "You know," Helen said thoughtfully, "when James first started volunteering here after getting back on his feet, he told me he was looking for purpose. I think he found it, not just in giving back, but in building a life that matters." Olivia nodded, watching as James knelt to tie Zoe's shoe. "We all were. Looking for purpose, I mean. And sometimes," Helen continued, "purpose finds us in the moments we're most afraid, when we admit our struggles, when we ask for help, when we say the hard truths." Later that night, after the guests had gone and they had returned to their home, Olivia found a note tucked into her bouquet. In James's handwriting, it read, "To my wife, thank you for showing me that our greatest weaknesses, when shared with the right person, become our greatest strengths. I promise to always create a space where you can be exactly who you are. All my love, James." Olivia placed the note in the memory box they had started, right next to the receipt from their first date, 2 pieces of paper that had changed the trajectory of their lives. 5 years later, Olivia stood before a crowd at a fundraising gala for the Riverside Community Kitchen, which had expanded to 3 locations across the city. Beside her stood James, and next to him, a 13-year-old Zoe and their 4-year-old son, Ethan. "Many of you know our story," Olivia began. "How a confession of financial struggle led to love, family, and purpose. But what you might not know is how many similar stories have unfolded within these walls." She gestured to the room around them, the original community kitchen, now renovated and expanded. "This place taught me that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the beginning of connection. It taught me that asking for help isn't failure. It's courage. And it showed me that sometimes, the moments we're most afraid of become the foundations of our greatest joy." James stepped forward to join her at the microphone. "Tonight, we're proud to announce the launch of the New Beginnings Fund, which will provide emergency assistance, job training, and mentorship to families facing financial hardship. Because everyone deserves a second chance," Zoe added, her voice confident as she addressed the crowd. "And everyone has something valuable to contribute." As applause filled the room, Olivia caught sight of her mother, now recovered enough to volunteer weekly at the kitchen. She thought about the journey that had brought them here, from a moment of shame and vulnerability across a restaurant table to this life of purpose and abundance. Not financial abundance, though.